see this. So thank you. So please enjoy the content. Maybe even if it's not meant for you, it might be for someone else. So please share this. Please subscribe. The content here is all about helping you on your personal journey. We at life are going to need a spark that will help us realize that we can get through this and we can achieve whatever we're trying to do. Sometimes hope is all we need. Faith are one and the same. Grace, all of these huge emotions are all based on fundamental fuel of energy that can help us endure, to achieve, and to just not give up. So I believe that we in humanity can become the beacons of change, and we can continue to do good and over good by good deeds, by helping one another, will cause a snowball effect of change. And what we can do is create good karma and earn kusala, which is good positive karma, by doing good deeds to one another. And we can help take away the pain that we all feel. And ultimately, we're gonna have to survive and grow and do this thing called life together. So how do we work together and achieve? How do we work together and believe? It's something that's done through society, but part of it is we have to individually believe in the possibility of good, in the possibility of an auspicious time, of good times ahead. And I really hope people can believe in that, because it's tough. And I think if we can be that for other people, that will create more positivity, and it will continue to create a better cycle. And then over time, that good that you do, the world and the universe will pay back that good karma in dividends. So with that, let's go. I believe in you. The rest of this video is all about just finding faith. How you going? Welcome to a playlist. How you going? Welcome everyone to the Self-efficacy playlist. This is one of my first videos for the check-in and just additional content that's not based on content. So I'm really excited. I've had a lot of new people joining this channel, so thank you so much. I'm Saul Matthew. I have been doing this for about 9 months, but I've been a business professional most of my life. I'm 37, and I have been working since I was 13. And money was something that we did not grow up with a lot of, but what we did have, we spent a lot of it on experience and going back home to Sri Lanka. So growing up in Metro Detroit, I always felt like I didn't quite fit in, even though I fit in, and I always thought it was because of, maybe the fact that I was like just different, and but I realized that there's just so many things that make me a bit of an outlier, that even when I tried to fit in, it was at the hurt of myself. I would you don't know, I would self-numb with alcohol. I would self-numb with tons of weed just to stay idle, just to give up all this energy and all this potential I had, because I felt like I needed to fit in to stay safe. And I'm gonna eventually make a full video about this, but I'm not quite ready to go through it. But I had this block where I wanted to start a business, and my dad, him and I, we viewed life just completely different. He was very image conscious, and it was all about this fake persona and image, and it was about doing good to get something back. And my mom on the other side she just wanted to live her life and do good, and and she was doing the best that she could. But ultimately, when she was the sole breadwinner, for me, it was, besides the fact him and I had a lot of trauma history, we just viewed life and masculinity and how we should engage and work with the world differently. And, and I was always hard-headed, and I would not take no for an answer. I had to understand the why. My daughter is very similar that way, but ultimately it's about, having a sense of freedom and safety where you could challenge authority and know that you are safe to understand. I wasn't always safe to understand, and I had to either follow or deal with the consequences. And over time, I was okay pushing back until it just got really toxic, on both sides. But ultimately, I knew I wanted something better for myself. I knew that defiance, that will, that spark was something I needed to keep alive. And no matter what happened in life, it's something I was able to just keep alive. Like Charmander from Pokemon, he had that tail. He couldn't let that fucker go out, because if not, he passed. But ultimately, you got to figure out what your will of fire is, what makes your heart chakra sing, what is the path of your life. And, a lot of what this content has been is my experience broken up into little pieces, because I truly believe that anyone can change their stars. And even if it's not meant for us, we can change it for the next generation. But realistically, if you work hard enough, you can change your whole life, I would say easily in, I want to say 7 years, but 18 months, you could do it sooner. Time is something that was my block. I would always wait for a certain time. It would have to be, this would have to be met, that would have to be met, and I would have to just understand what my block was, and ultimately it was time. It was me saying, I need to wait 9 months for this to happen. I need to wait this much time. Sometimes when momentum is building, you just need to run with it and just keep the fire alive if that's what you need. If you've gotten everything you need, and you know what? You don't need to keep a fire alive when everyone's sweating and it's just hot. If your job is to just keep the fire alive for society, and society's saying, hey man, it's fucking hot, like, you've done a good job, go take a break, go take a fucking break. Like, you're more than just what you do for this world. And I think once you realize that you have a bigger purpose than your job, and you have a bigger purpose than other people's perspective or other people's judgment or other people's potential, or what that is, it gets easier and easier. But the more you believe in it, that what they think is right and what you think is wrong, it's tough, And I think knowing that we're meant to fail, that we're meant to grow, and we're meant to not be right or perfect, that's normal. But ultimately, as you keep building momentum, as you keep gaining confidence, you're able to create at a level that other people will not just be able to understand, because they just have not done that yet. They say if you do something for, I think a few minutes each day, by the end of it's like 8 minutes a day or something like that, or we'll just say less than 20, because I know it's in the teens or single digits, you'll be better than 95% of the people in this, in the world. But realistically, in a year, realistically, I think if you spend, like, what I said was 3.6 hours, which is about an hour and a half, we'll say 2 hours a day. The rest of it, you're gaining experience through sleep. But if you spend 2 hours a day on anything, and you just keep doing it over and over, you don't become just a master, you become an outlier. You become something that is so exceptional in about 7 years that nothing can stop your experience. It's like starting a video game with the character that you beat the game with. You know, once you start doing the first couple levels, it's just super easy. And you have to make a choice. Do you just live in comfort, or do you keep going on a journey? Me, I'm one of those types that I want to keep going on a journey. But for you on the other side, you have to really understand for yourself, like, is this enough? Is your family happy? Are you happy? Are you leaving the legacy in which you feel that you're the most comfortable with? That little inner voice isn't screaming, go do more. Go do more. You're not, I think once you find a sense of purpose and you find a sense of passion, I'll be honest, one thing I find is a sense of void. I find a depression, and I find that I am not quite living up to my true potential, because I'm just like, well, I've already done all this stuff. I've already achieved this. I could do more. And I just don't appreciate the momentum. I'm not the momentum, but the achievement. And, and that's a hard thing to face, is when your whole life you have been struggling and you start this journey of working towards something, and you start achieving and you start building momentum, and you start seeing something take off. Most people either limit what that potential is, and they're like, well, this was good enough. It's a one-off. I was luck. Sometimes it is luck, but sometimes you need to do it over and over to figure out, is this luck, or is this something that I have earned over time? It is something that I have created value in. So you have to really understand, as you work on self-efficacy, as you work on building confidence through experience, how are you working towards celebrating those victories? How are you realizing that the person that you once were is becoming less and less? You have created enough habits, you've created enough momentum, you've created enough positivity where this life is changing. The path, you are on a new time loop. You are on a new multiverse timeline. You have to realize that sometimes you can't always go back. That's the one thing with, Flash in the multiverse, is he could always go back and change everything he did and then kind of go back to the future. But realistically, we can only change the past is by letting go its control. We can let go of the past by gaining more experience. We can let go of the past by knowing that it is over, that we are safe. But the future doesn't have to be the past. But if you have momentum now, know that at some point it's time to let it go. But while it's going good, invest in it, celebrate it. Don't burn out. That was one thing I always did, is I burnt out. So burning out is something we'll really cover more in future playlists. So I really want you to think through, what is your purpose? What are you working towards? Like, why are you on this journey? Why did you even click this video? Why does YouTube think that you are meant to see this? I'm Saul Matthew of Koos Key. Ayubowan, and may you be blessed with a long life. So one thing you have to really understand is becoming more positive isn't something that we're all meant to. Because, realistically, when you're positive energy, what happens? You gravitate negative energy, because, our job is to find balance. Every action has an equal but opposite reaction. So if we are in a phase of good, there are cycles of, bad that sometimes might be drawn to the good. Sometimes, like that example of two crabs are stuck in a barrel, and the crab who tries to get out, what happens is the other crabs in the barrel will pull the other person down. No one really pushes them out in hopes that they can save them, at least in crab culture, So what I'm really hoping for is the people who are watching and finding hope for yourself is you should really celebrate and find other bright hopes and other people that are being beacons of good. Because honestly, I'm realizing there's more and more of them, and the more good that we can do to help one another, the more good that we can do to be positive and to help one another can really help break sometimes, these cycles that we're in. Sometimes people understand the pattern, but sometimes they just need a person to acknowledge what they're doing.